and they're for educational and entertainment purposes. And I strongly hope you believe what I believe and my guests believe when we say what we say. But anyway, I hope you have, this is important to watch, especially, you just need this information and you can be informed. Just a little update on parental rights. The United Nations is still trying to get the treaty on the Convention on the Right of the Child passed. And there is a bill, a Senate resolution, that we just need 34 people to block that treaty. And 34 senators, we have 31, we only need 3 more. This treaty would tell the United Nations, it would define our Constitution for us. The United Nations would define our Constitution and determine what your parental rights are. And right now, it is not a fundamental right to, you do not have a fundamental right as a parent to raise your children in the education and upbringing of your choice. It's a high right, but not a fundamental right, and the state is prying into those areas right now more and more. And if the United Nations defines it, the state will have more say in what you teach and how you raise your children. So pay attention to that. Parentalrights.org is that website. Well, I have, we're just going to get right into the show today, not much more information, but I have here as a guest Connie Iverson. Thank you for coming on.
Hello.
And you're running for Ramsey County Judge.
I am.
That's a pretty big deal. Now, there's a seat number behind this, right?
That's correct. It's seat number 27 on the ballot, and it's under the 2nd Judicial District. So if you flip the ballot over, it's in the back. We're about right in the middle of the ballot in the back. There's a lot of positions there, so we're a little difficult to find, but that's where we'll be located.
Now, for my viewers out there, you can go to the Secretary of State's website and get your ballot. You just plug in your address or very close to that. You'll find your ballot, so you can be prepared before you go in to vote, so you can know all the judges, all the issues, because there's school board, I think there's some water stuff, there's some Ramsey County resolutions to be voted on, but I hear so many people say, I don't know about a judge, I don't know about these judges. Well, you can know, and you can know what's going to be on your ballot, and you can know by watching this show. And also going to the Secretary's website, your contact information is on there, and of course we have your email down there. Our website, I should say, so they can contact you through there.
That's correct. There's a contact button on there, and it goes directly to my email, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have individually, and I'd be happy to talk with the citizens about what they want in a judge for Ramsey County.
Okay, great. The thing that caught my attention about you running for office is this is a big deal to me. You're running against an incumbent. And as Greg Wurzel, who's running for the Minnesota Supreme Court, you're running against the Judicial Incumbency Party. That party that gets to put their incumbent, you don't get anything behind your name.
No, nothing.
To say anything about you, but that person gets to say, I'm an incumbent. And that's a big hurdle to overcome.
It is.
So, I mean, was that part of your mindset in deciding to run?
Well, people generally don't run against incumbents. It's a difficult thing to do, to overcome an incumbent in an election. But it has been done in the past, especially in Ramsey County. Probably the most recent instance of that was Judge Judith Tilson ran against Judge Walter Bowser and unseated him as an incumbent. So it has been done, probably not as frequently as we'd like to see, but it's not impossible to do, and I'm making my best efforts to see if I can be successful this time. All
right. Well, with that hurdle there must have been something that drove you to say this is worth challenging the incumbent because it's a high hurdle to overcome.
It's a lot of personal time, effort, money, support of friends, family. I mean, it's a big undertaking. It takes a lot of time and a big commitment to getting out in the community. And I've done what I can to do that and continue to do that in the next 14 days. So just kind of briefly, there are 29 judges total serving in Ramsey County currently. And this is a big year for elections. There are 13 incumbents on the ballot.
Wow.
I'm the only one who's running against one of those incumbents.
Yeah, one open seat. Right.
And there is an open seat which was created by the upcoming retirement of Judge Michael Monahan. He's retiring.
Right.
He's reached retirement age, and he decided to let his seat go to election rather than appointment by the governor.
And next week I'll talk more about that. Hopefully Mark Ireland will be on the show next week, so you can hear about that open seat. So we just want to focus on your seat now. So what? 29 seats, 13 up for election this year, but only one running against an incumbent.
That's correct.
Why do you think other people aren't running against these other judges?
Well, because it is such a big hurdle to overcome. Having that I behind your name, because people don't know a lot about judicial elections, they kind of tend to just vote for the incumbent, especially if they haven't heard anything about him or her. It's difficult to get information about judicial elections, and just, I'd say within the last few years, with the advent of shows such as yourself, with the internet, and more access to news media, I think people are able to get the word out a little bit more and to learn more about their judges. And I hope that based on that, people will take a look at them and not just vote aye for an incumbent just because they know nothing about it.
Right.
Or, in the alternative, just not vote at all.
Right.
A lot of people just skip that section.
Yeah, and actually if they don't know about the judges, that's probably the best thing to do. But in this case, I can pretty well say that it's a good thing to vote against all the incumbents. That's my opinion, because I know most of the challengers, and they're, in my opinion, they're better than the incumbents that are in there. But what would you say are the three most important things about that you want voters to know about your qualifications for judge?
Okay. Well, basically, I think that brings to mind a speech I heard recently, and that was at the swearing-in of the most recently appointed judge in Ramsey County, Judge Millenacker. Judge Michael Davis, who is the chief judge in the U.S. District Court and federal court, actually spoke. And he said that someone asked him recently, if you had to pick a judge who knows the difference between right and wrong and a judge who knows the law, what would you think would be more important? And he said, I'd pick someone who knows the difference between right and wrong. When I was listening to that, I thought, well, why would you have to make a choice? Why wouldn't you demand both?
Right.
I mean, somebody who knows right from wrong is
Yes.
important, but they also need to know the law.
Right.
So I think that's where I'd like to focus my 3 points on. First of all, I know the law. I like the law. I study the law. I participate in what's called the Judicial Bench Book Committee for the Criminal Bench Book, and that's a little resource book that all judges use statewide. I'm one of only 2 defense attorneys on that panel. It used to be a part of the Supreme Court, but because of lack of funding, we are now run by Minnesota CLE. We update that book with new case law, with new statutes, and we make sure the judges are current in the law, and it's just a handy reference. So I know the law. I'm interested in the law. I also serve on the Violence Coordinating Council, which is a group, interagency group of probation officers, prosecutors, defense attorneys, people who work with women's shelters, domestic abuse advocates, just a wide variety of people, police officers, sheriff's deputies. And we look at domestic abuse cases and try to find better ways to handle those in the judicial system, because there are a lot of them. It's probably the most common crimes that we see.
Right.
So I know the law. I'm a student of the law. I'm active in the legal community. So that's the first thing I think the voters should know about me. Second, I do know the difference between right and wrong. I think that's based on your background. You know, I grew up on a family farm. My parents sold it when I was about 13 because they had a catastrophic financial loss due to a fire. And my dad became a truck driver. And my mom currently works in a diner. She's 77. She bakes pies for a diner. She still works. They instilled in me a very strong work ethic. And I think that is something that voters need to know, that their judge is going to work hard for them.
Right.
I think you need a strong moral background. My parents have been married for 54 years. Like I said, they're hard workers. They have always been. I've been married for 20 years to the same man. He's a public high school teacher. He teaches at Champlain Park High School. We live in Roseville. We're both not only public servants, we're both active in our community, and we believe in giving back to the community. So I think that's another thing that people should expect in their judges, a strong moral and family background. And then finally, I think judges should understand that it's a privilege to serve.
Yes,
It's not
yeah,
a right.
That's definitely.
It is a privilege, and it's one that is bestowed upon them by the citizens if they have a chance to vote for their judges. And that's why I'm running. I'd like to know what the citizens think. Are the citizens interested in voting for someone or just settling for the appointment made by a governor years ago? So I think if you look at that, I think citizens deserve a good judge. They expect a lot from a good judge, and I think a good judge should understand that they serve at the pleasure of the citizens. And as long as you keep that in the forefront of your mind, I think you'll do a good job for the citizens.
Well, I've sat in a lot of courtrooms for various reasons and seen a lot of judges in action, and even your opponent's courtroom. I sense some of these judges kind of get this black robe disease, and they have this feeling that they have to take charge of the courtroom, and they do. You have to be in charge of the courtroom to an extent, but it is like way overblown. You know, they get up there and they're, you know, I've seen judges want to be the prosecutor, you know, and I've seen judges basically be the king. And so I see this thing of not seeing it as a privilege, and they see it as a power issue versus as a right issue. Let me put it this way. Judges have the power to pretty much do whatever they want. They have the power. They can say this, and a bailiff's going to, and a court officer is going to run and do this and that. But they may not have the right to do it. Yeah, but they may do it anyway. So do you see this kind of black robe disease, or do you see some of that going on in the courtroom? And do you think once you get that robe on that you're going to turn into this type of person? I'm serious. I mean, that's a big question to me.
No. Power is a dangerous thing sometimes. And I don't believe that respect is automatically bestowed upon you when you put on a black robe. I think respect is something you earn. I think you have to control your courtroom as a judge. I mean, that is your job.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
it should be a place of civility, a place where things can be worked out in an atmosphere of professionalism, collegiality, and respect for everyone. With that being said, you can control a courtroom without making those power plays, and that you can do that by showing respect to the people who appear in front of you. Respect the attorneys. Allow them to make their points.
Right.
Allow them to make their arguments. Allow them to speak and to fully, present their case, and allow the other side to do the same. Allow both sides equal access to your ear, and then you have to make a decision. And when you make a decision, it should be done with you have to keep in mind you're not only affecting that individual person sitting in front of you. Your decisions affect the community as a whole.
Right.
Because people look at what you do. You're supposed to have some uniformity in your decisions.
Right.
And so I think that the black robe disease, we call it robitis sometimes. It does afflict some people. I do have to say, a lot of the judges on the Ramsey County bench aren't affected by it. And I think they are fair. I think they can control their courtroom without making power plays. And I think respect is something you have to earn, and it's something that if you show other people respect, they'll give it back to you.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You kind of mentioned there's evenness in the decision making. Because on some of these DUIs, somebody's going to get, usually you get your 90 days first time. 90 days down to time served, and a $500 fine or a $1,000 fine, but stayed except for $200. But then I've been in other areas seeing that happen, and some people are $500 and some people are $200, and everything varies. And I see a lot of that. But The question I'm trying to ask here, how much discretion do you think judges should have in their sentencing guidelines and alternative sentencing? Where do you see that as a judge's responsibility, and